no, I actually don't really work in series. I mean, these works are, well, I treat a canvas essentially like a stage set, and it's an empty stage initially, obviously, and all the components, all the articles in the painting come from my little prop department, if you like, you know, and so it's very repetitious. You'll see sort of little motifs or objects that repeat themselves constantly, and because it's quite a small little box of effects that I have, but I'm sort of attached to them in various ways, emotionally and intellectually, and so I bring them out occasionally and reintroduce them to the picture plane and mix them around. But if you actually look at all my works, you'll see that there are various elements that constantly reappear, just in different forms. And in that way, I do regard it as stage scenery, you know, which is recycled as much as anything. But in recycling it, every time you do it, they change slightly and almost imperceptibly, but they become more nuanced in a curious sort of way. So I don't know if that actually makes sense, but it's. I've had a few glasses of wine this afternoon, so. But I think I hope that's cogent. Anything else you want to know?
What's the fascination with structures, like buildings?
Well, for me, a building is an excuse to actually have something basically rectilinear in the canvas. For a decade in the 80s, was it 80s or no, in the 90s rather, I did semi-abstracts, and they were sort of quasi-cubist sort of works, and there was a lot of large white sort of objects in them. And when I moved on to this work, I tried to take certain elements of the semi-abstraction into a much more literal world, but hopefully with maintaining the dynamism of the geometric shape that was essential to that earlier work. And so these are they are rectangles and cubes and just arranged in a central sort of motif, which appeals to me.
Another thing is, I see almost all your paintings have water.
Well, again, water it's a chance to actually put reflections in. I put reflections in not necessarily to say, well, this is water as such, but it's an architectural device. That's all it is. It's a formalist device. So it gives you literally another dimension to the painting, but it also gives weight. It has an architectural quality to it, and it gives a weight and a timbre to the works. And people on a sort of an emotional level equate to it much more readily, and they think, oh, I like that, it's water, isn't it? Yes, I like those reflections. And, I mean, God bless them. I mean, I'm glad they do like it, but it is before it's anything else, before it's a reflection, it is an architectural device to actually a reverse image of the cube. So it's 2 for 1 sort of thing in a way. I started using black again when I was doing my semi-abstract. I'd painted plein air, I've been a life direct painter for 15 years prior to going into semi-abstraction. And that's when I first used black, because I felt I'd learned how to use black properly. And then I carried it through into this new work, which I've been doing for about the last 13 years. And black has become, I like the theatricality of black. I mean, I alluded earlier to black, to rather theatre, but my work is essentially theatrical, and I can't think of anything more theatrical than black. It's so unnatural, and yet it sort of works, and it's. why, even when we look at a black velvet painting, I mean, we're appalled at, you know, an Elvis with a tear in it on black velvet, but we're still attracted to it in a way. It's because it's the black, you know. And I saw that many years ago, and I thought, well, yeah. There's certain, why am I attracted to it? I always work out things, no matter how meretricious and how cheap and tawdry they are. If I'm attracted to them, I'm thinking, why? And I was attracted to black, as most people are, in a curious sort of way. And I did reason it was its sheer artificiality, its theatricality, that gives it its sort of weight. And so I incorporated it into the work. And in doing so, I mean, I've done it for so long now, it's part of my shtick, if you like. I mean, I'm known for my black skies. I mean, no one does black skies. I mean, I'm the black sky geezer, and they're sort of mine, which I'm very pleased about. And so, invariably, virtually in every painting, I have one here that doesn't have any black in it, but all of them have black somewhere or other. And it's important to me. It's, as much as anything, it's a signature and saying that this is a Wooldridge painting, for good or bad, you know. Talking about the hard edge stuff, well, I mean, I work in hard edge, because it makes it a little bit different, but the main reason is because it separates each individual item, one of my props, from each other. I mean, literally, it separates them. It makes the edge, if not profound, certainly significant. And in doing so, you set up a separation. And in my paintings, I could argue that this piece here and this shadow are as important as that building. You know, I give them all equal billing, if you like. And again, that gives a little bit of tension because it's not natural. You know, there's nothing recessional in my colours or forms, and it makes them accessible, but it also makes them a little bit strange, which is something I'm looking for. You know, I don't want to be out in left field, but you're still looking, you know, as a painter, as an artist, we're trying to be a little bit different, if you like. I mean, it can only be tinily different, but I mean, different nonetheless. So that's what you look for. And in my case, I just find that the hard edge gives me that degree of separation, and again also allows for a series of those tensions, those small degree of tensions that are important to, well, central to a painting, because it actually gives legs to the painting, that you get these little series of small tensions throughout the painting that actually make you want to look at it and keep on wanting to look at it, seeing it afresh every time you look at it, basically, you know. And arguably, I mean, I'm just a warrior for the working day as a painter goes, but the great painters all had that in their paintings. And in my own, albeit humble way, I try and so emulate them, you know. I mean, but it is small tensions, and that is one of them. They're little, and attention can be geometric juxtapositioning for shape, but it can also be and form. But it is the actual fact that it's so unnatural that again gives a crispness and attention to the work.